Naza is a certified solution-focused coach, licensed NLP practitioner, and member of the Design Thinking Institute, Malaysia. He has told us in his flyer that he is a passionate man. What is he passionate about? Well, he's passionate about certified solution, culture change. He is also a passionate Toastmaster member since his university's days. Now, let's bring up to educate us, to impress us, because I know he will, Naza Abdullah, Winning Team DNA.
Toastmaster of the evening. I will need to share my screen if that's okay.
Yes, one of the hosts will do that for you. Okay.
Can you confirm you can see my slides?
Yes.
All right. So first and foremost, thank you, Toastmaster of the evening. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. The irony is I've not been to LA. I've been to America, specifically Brazil, but not to North America. And pandemic has brought me to you guys. So this is indeed an exciting opportunity. As Holly mentioned earlier, one of my passion is actually culture. And specifically, I work with companies as well as teams and even individuals on how we can shape the right culture so that we can achieve our goals. I'm sure some of you may be wondering, well, is this a business presentation? Like, do I really need to learn about building a winning team DNA if I don't have a business team? The truth is, as long as there's people, there's culture. If it's a person, it's personality, but as long as two people coming together, it forms a culture. So this includes a married couple. When a man and a woman, or a man and a man and a woman get together, you are forming a culture because this is when two personalities come together and you're creating a unique ecosystem. The same thing goes with friends. When two friends come together, you form a culture. When a third friend joins the conversation, the culture changes. When a fourth friend joins the conversation, the culture changes further. So some of you may be wondering, why is it that when I get together with my best friend, we talk about different things, and when someone else comes along, the conversation shifts? And that's because culture is changing depending on who's in that conversation. And of course, if you're in a business environment, culture is also shaped. And one of the famous saying I always say is, if you don't manage culture, culture will manage you. So it's always there. It's just a matter of whether you want to manage it or you left it to its own accord. And of course, last but not least, Toastmasters. Whenever you come to a Toastmasters meeting, you are also facing culture. So conclusion, whenever there's people, there's culture. Now, why do we want to manage culture? Essentially, culture is the way we do things around here. So the way we do things will lead to the way we achieve our goals. I'll take the examples of a life partnership, a marriage. If your life partnership is about raising your kids to be accountable and independent, that is the goal. And the way you raise your family, the way you interact with one another will help you to deliver those goals. Similarly, in a friendship, when friends come together to support one another emotionally, there is a goal. So the way you respond to each other, listen to one another, shapes how you'll be able to achieve that goal effectively. Now, this is a problem. What Peter Drucker once said, one of the management consultants said, culture is strategy for breakfast. I can tell you now, if culture is strategy for breakfast, why do so many teams starve? Why are there such high divorce rates? Why do people leave companies? Why do friendship breaks down? It's because although we know culture is important, managing culture can be a little bit difficult. Why is that? There are three particular reasons. The first, as compared to managing your finances, where you can see the money coming in and out, managing culture involves managing something you can't see. Above and beyond the physical interaction, it's also managing what goes on in a person's mind as you're having conversation with them. It goes on to their belief ecosystem, what the person truly holds dear to their heart. So it's hard to manage something you can't see. Secondly, culture is complex because people are complex. As I mentioned earlier, when two people are having conversation with one another, you form a culture. When you add a third person, the culture changes. Because of that complexity, most of us say, oh dear, I'm just going to give up. Let me manage something that's a lot easier. Let me learn a recipe instead. And the third, of course, anything and everything shapes culture. From our emotion when we wake up in the morning, to whether it's raining or sunny, whether it's spring or autumn, whether the TV is on or broken. Every little thing that happens in every step of the day changes culture. By this point in time, most of you must have think to yourself, oh God, is his presentation telling me that culture is hopeless and I shall just leave things be as it is? The answer is no. I'm not here to create confusion. I'm here to give you solution. So the good news is culture can be shared and nudged. There is a way to manage culture. So for those of you who are currently in a friendship that you feel, I don't think the way we interact with one another is good, and you want it to be better, don't give up. There is a way to manage the culture. So how do you go about it? There are 3 ways you can build a winning team culture. And if you follow these 3 tips, you'll be fine. The first tip is start by establishing common goals. And this is one of the reasons why NGOs, as well as those anonymous groups, works well. Alcoholics Anonymous, this because they're coming together to band together for a common goal, and the ideas will support one another. So establish a common goal for that relationship. The second, go strength-based. Instead of just chipping the person's confidence away one at a time, focus on building the person's confidence, recognizing their strength, making themselves feel good. And the third, have an open feedback culture. Recognition and praise itself is insufficient. You also need to inculcate a culture where you are able to accept constructive criticism positively. In the next few pages, I'll give you tips on how to do this on a day-to-day basis. So whatever I'm going to share with you, you can immediately practice after today's session to have a healthier relationship and to build a winning team. So let's start with the first, common goal. There are 2 things that you need to do when it comes to establishing a common goal. Now, for those of you who have been married for many, many years, 2 decades perhaps, it's not too late. You can start doing this today. The first thing you want to do is define at least 2 goals for your team. The first goal is team results. Together as a team, what is it that you want to achieve? And remember, in different phases of the relationship, you'll have different results. Perhaps if you're close to retirement, your team results could be, I want to ensure that we have enough savings as a couple to survive our retirement age. That is the team results. Next, you want to identify behaviors that will allow you to achieve that results. For example, in order for us to have that comfortable retirement, one of the behaviors could be prudent spending. So both parties in that relationship will have to agree that that's our result and that's our behavior that both of us will hold each other accountable for. And next, remember, humans are not perfect. We are bombarded with information every step of the day. So once you've established these 2 goals, communicate clearly and repeat frequently. So every day when you wake up next to your husband or wife, hey, do you remember our results? Comfortable retirement, remember our behaviors, prudent spending, and do that again and again and again until it becomes a habit. Most of the time we have goals, but it's only a piece of paper on a fridge that we never bother. So remember, establish 2 goals, your results and behavior, as well as communicate clearly and repeat frequently. So now you have your goals, what do you do with it? Let's go to the next step. Once you have the goals, it's important to go on strength-based culture. What it means is, whenever you have small successes, reward and recognize and celebrate like it's the 4th of July. So remember the prudent spending example. If you come back home today and tell your spouse, hey, today I managed to save $1 at the grocery store because I decided to go to that promotion section. Both of you should be jumping up and down, clapping hands, hugging one another and say, job well done, congratulations. Because remember, changing behaviors ain't easy. So every small successes demands a celebration. And next, between the 2 of you or within the team itself, when you know something's working, find out how to make it part of your culture. Scale it up. So for example, if you are in an office and one of your colleagues found a way to ensure that everyone puts down their toilet seat after they use the toilet, and that's a culture you want. Ask that person, what did you do right that makes you remember to do it each and every time? And find a way to share it across everyone so that it becomes a common practice. This sounds very philosophical, but the truth is, science has proven that this kind of celebration, positive comments and rewards, goes a long way in helping to make change stick. When a person listens to positive comments, it creates a hormone called oxytocin. And oxytocin is a feel-good hormone which allows you to be elevated in your communication, collaboration, and trust. And this is why Toastmasters always say, when you're giving evaluation, do positive as much as you do the constructive criticism, because positive feedback allows the heart to open and allows the person to be more trusting and collaborative and willing participant. So we talk about strength-based culture. Now let's move on to the next section. You also need to create an open feedback culture because, face it, we won't do the right things all the time. There'll be moments in our life we will stray, and it's okay. To stray, as one said, to err is to be human. So we aren't perfect and we will never be perfect, and it's fine. But what's important is, whenever you see any member of your team strays from that goal, give feedback. And when you give feedback, you must also learn to receive feedback. In the next slide, I will show you some tips on how to do it. From my coaching sessions with leaders in many companies, giving feedback and receiving feedback is one of the most underrated skills. We always assume the moment you come out of your mother's womb, you are already ready to receive and give feedback. That's not the truth. Our brain is hardwired to resist feedback. And more importantly, after you receive feedback, you must act on it. Now, back to what I was saying. Our brain is hardwired to resist feedback. Humans have evolved over thousands of years, and yet, whenever we receive feedback, we rely on the most primitive part of our brain, the amygdala. The amygdala is the part of our brain that has three responses: fight, flight, or freeze. And that part of the brain was extremely useful when we were cavemen, where we were trying to fight off lions, avoid snakes. But unfortunately, that part of the brain is still there. For dangerous situations, when there's a fire, you need to fight, flight, and freeze immediately. But sometimes when we receive feedback, we rely on that primitive side of the brain. And that is why we say things are regrettable. For example, I said, Holly, your presentation, you could be a little bit faster, because I noticed you were very slow. And there were moments I fell asleep. Holly's immediate reaction, because of how her brain is hardwired, goes to the amygdala. And her response is, shall I fight Naza for that comment? Or shall I run away from Naza for that comment? Or shall I just freeze and be stumped? Because our brain is hardwired for those responses, you need to teach your brain new tricks. And this is where the next page comes in. Giving feedback is a skill, ladies and gentlemen. So moving forward, whenever someone gives you feedback, if you want a healthy relationship, here's a tip you want to follow when you give someone feedback. The first thing, always remember, giving feedback is a choice. Receiving feedback is a choice. So whenever you want to give someone feedback, start off by asking permission. Hey, Najib, is it okay if I give you feedback? And there's a few reasons why we do that. Because Najib's frame of mind, he may just come up from a stressful situation and his mind is not ready to process feedback. And for you to just give him feedback there and then is be selfish. You're being selfish. You're not taking into account his willingness to receive. So start by asking, will it be okay if I give you feedback? And if Najib says yes, please. Or, I'm sorry, Naza, I don't think I can process it now. Can you give me feedback slightly later? So give that option. Second, always start the feedback by explaining the why. Create a psychological safety. Hey Najib, I'm giving you this feedback because I really love your speech and I want you to be a better speaker down the line. So Najib, oh, okay, that's a very noble cause. I would like to listen to the feedback now because I'm clear on what is the objective. Because we share a common goal, I want him to improve as a Toastmasters and he wants me to improve as a Toastmaster. So we are relying on that common goal. And third, give your feedback, be objective and specific. One of the reasons why married couples get into trouble is because when you are giving feedback to your spouse, this is your opportunity to take out your treasure trove, open it, and bring up examples from 10 years back, things he has done since you first met, and you take out every single thing and load it on him. So remember, when you're giving feedback, be specific to that specific experience and example. Do not bring out examples that's not relevant. That will create chaos and havoc. So I've taught you how to give feedback. How do you receive feedback? It's also a skill. The first one, resist the fight, flight, or freeze response. Instead, just listen. Research has shown all you have to do when you receive feedback is resist response for 5 seconds. Allow that comment to go from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex, your most evolved part of your brain. If you're able to do that, your brain will start to reason. And when your brain starts to reason, ask the question, what is the benefit of this feedback? What can I learn from this? And your brain will start to analyze, okay, I think this feedback could be useful to me. Let me hear, let me think. How can I use this? How can I incorporate this into my well-being? And last, thank the person for the feedback. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you can follow these 3 quick steps, trust me, you will be one of the best feedback givers and receivers out there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've come to the last page of my slide. These 3 things may seem independent, but they're mutually dependent. You start off by creating a common goal for the team. Make sure both of you agree what those goals are. And then you start to focus on the strength. Look out for early successes that's attributed to the goals and celebrate like mad. Celebrate. Make the person feel good so that they want to do it again. And last but not least, based on the common goals you've agreed, remember when your team members stray from those goals, give them feedback. If you can do these 3 things together, you will have the winning team, whether it's a married couple, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a Toastmasters membership, or whether it's at work. Ladies and gentlemen, the only culture you can get off the shelf is yogurt. So if you want to look for culture that you can get off the shelf, you go and buy yogurt from your closest convenience store. Everything else you need to shape and nudge. You need to put in the effort. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm reachable at this email, and you can also go to my website, consultnaza.com, or you can link up with me on my LinkedIn. Timer, how much time do I have left? If there's time, perhaps we can open up for questions.
There's 1 minute.
Thank God. Great. Any questions from anyone from the floor? Any questions you'd like to ask? I will stop sharing so I can see you guys.
Naza.
Yes. Yes, Holly.
When you were giving your presentation, you suggested that a married couple celebrate for doing something at a grocery store and jump up and down and celebrate like it's the 4th of July. Do you change the holiday when you go to different countries?
I do. In fact, that's very important. I didn't know Martha was here, because if I knew Martha was here, I would have Googled what is the common holiday in Sweden so that I can make sure that Martha doesn't feel left out from that example. I do try to customize my examples to the audience. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any questions? Feel free to ask. If not, you can just drop me a note afterwards. That's fine as well. I'm sure it's late at night, so I will put my contact here. And if there's any question, feel free to ask. This timer is brilliant. Thank you so much. Back to you, Ali.
Thank you so much. I really learned a lot. It was a lot of common sense, and it nailed down some things that I've done on and off, but I really need to do more often. Thank you. Thank you for visiting us. And now quickly to the president, the gentleman, the Allen man. You're mute.
And mute. It's a husband thing. You're used to being muted. No, Linda's Linda listens to me. Okay, so chat. Oops. Just a minute. Our best table topic speaker, JJ.
Yay!
And you will get a certificate in. Did everybody see that? Okay, and share. Pause share. Just a second here. Just a minute. You are now screen sharing. Stop share. Okay, just gotta find the button. Okay, it is the end of the meeting. Let's give a hand for Holly, who did a wonderful job as Toastmaster.
Hey!
And our amazing keynote. Naza, can you put your information in the chat so we can get that? Thank you very much. So I have time for guest comments. I'm going to quickly go through guest. Etta, any guest comments?
I really enjoyed the meeting. It was great.
Yuri?
Terrific keynote, and definitely I learned how to to promote table topics better.
Martha?
Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few things. I really enjoyed the meeting. I've been working with David on some effective evaluation on his speech, both now and earlier today. And I just loved how the keynote just played in wonderfully with this, and very high quality of meeting, good use of tradition. Really a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Sherry? Okay.
Be back. It's
Yeah.
been a while since I've been here. You have a well-rounded meeting. It's nice to see a keynote speaker, and I'm looking forward to next month's keynote speaker as well.
Scott?
I would say this meeting is a bloom with a congenial crew of very skilled Toastmasters.
All
And
right.
I will also say that if I were area governor, whatever director, you would get very high marks for the way you run your meeting. It's run very well, and I appreciate that. And it's good to see all my friends that I see around the Zoom world.
Yeah. It's also a bloom with some professional speakers like Wayne and Scott and others. Twyla?
You know, a good speech always sends the listener out the door with some action to take. And my mind is abloom with creative ideas after listening to all three speakers tonight. Some great evaluations and just a really good meeting. So thanks for inviting me.
Teresa?
Thank you so much for having me. I acknowledge that an awesome meeting like this doesn't just happen. I know that you guys actually put in the effort, you put in the teamwork, you communicate, and I really appreciate being able to attend a meeting that rocks. So thanks for having me.
Todd?
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, friends from around the world, definitely a pleasure to be here and to, get ready for next month.
Yeah. Bashir, any quick comments before last minute quick comments?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's honor to be part of this meeting. I'm from Pakistan, as I already told, and previously I'm a Rotarian for last 22 years, and now really enjoying Toastmaster in my own community and worldwide, and hope I will join again in your next meeting. Thank you very much. And a big hand to you as well as Toastmaster of the meeting and all role players. Thank you very much. It's pleasure indeed.
And finally, Naza, any comments?
Love the whole community spirit that comes from the club, and I love how supportive. I really love the round robin. So job well done to the organizers, and credit goes to Linda, because Linda have been following up with me quite regularly, kept me abreast on what's happening. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Okay, we've had our club contest, area contest, so I don't know, don't know when the division actually, Shauna, you know when the division contest is.
I do happen to know when the division contest is. It's on March 20th at 9 a.m. Division B and Division C are having that contest time, but separate contests. So you're going to have to choose, because I'm a member of both divisions, but I'm competing for Division B.
And next month at this club, Todd, you're going to be our keynote